Hello, everybody. Today is Mr. Seahorse by Carle. Mr. and Miss Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Miss Seahorse began to wiggle and twist this way and that. "It's time for me to lay my eggs," she said. "Can I help?" said Mr. Seahorse. "Oh, yes, thank you," said Miss Seahorse, and she laid her eggs into a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. "I'll take good care of our eggs," said Mr. Seahorse. "I promise." As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Stickleback?" said Mr. Seahorse. "Delighted," replied Mr. Stickleback. "I just built a nest, and right away Miss Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I am taking care of them until they hatch." "Keep up the good work," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Tilapia?" asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know," said Mr. Seahorse. "Miss Tilapia laid her eggs. Now you are taking care of them until they hatch." Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. "You must be very happy," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a pair of leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Perfectly fine," replied Mr. Curtis. "Miss Curtis laid her eggs, and I have stuck them on my head. Now I am taking care of them until they hatch." "You're doing a good job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse gently drifted through the sea, he passed right by a stonefish hidden behind a rock. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Couldn't be better," replied Mr. Pipe. "Miss Pipe laid her eggs along my belly. Now I am taking care of them until they hatched." "You should feel proud of yourself," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Ooh, his belly's gotten bigger. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Bullhead?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Tip-top," replied Mr. Bullhead. "Miss Bullhead laid her eggs, and the eggs hatched. Now I'm babysitting." "You are doing a fine job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Big belly. The time had come for Mr. Seahorse's babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that. At last the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. "Oh, no," said Mr. Seahorse. "I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own." Mr. Seahorse. Daddies are good parents too. Have a great day.